concept that remains largely intuitive for most people, a concept which is behind the game, next to the game, above the game, is the metagame. This is something that not very many people have put into words or thoughts. And the metagame, yeah, that's basically the playing the game to a deeper level, playing it in a way that you wouldn't normally do so, but you play it this way in order to capitalize on the holes in your opponent's strategies. You have studied the opponent. You think that you know the opponent in a way better than they know themselves, to some degree at least. Not saying that you know how they're thinking all the time or whatever, but you are able to see through their strategy to some degree. So once knowing that, you try and react, um, given how they are playing, and based on that, you're basically reacting to make them react. The point of, yeah, you're trying to put them off balance and trying to make them react and respect you and how you're playing. And kind of, since you know how they're playing and know how they like to play, you can make it so that they are not going to play their preferred way of playing, because you know how to counter that. Um, Also, an important part of the metagame, but it takes it one step further, is being unpredictable. It's not being simply random, which is just doing something new every time for the sake of just doing it. Whereas unpredictability is doing something that is supposed to be, unpredictable, something that your opponent cannot key into. So if they don't think that you're going to go A for the next 5 rounds, um, then that's being unpredictable. But let's say after those 5 rounds, they have said, okay, we know that you're going to go A this round. This is certain. And since you have keyed into the way that they're thinking, you decide, okay, I know that they're going to commit 5 people to A now because I went to A 5 rounds, and they're convinced that I'm going to go to A next round. But then you're thinking, okay, because I'm thinking that, I'm going to go to B, and the site will be left open and be very easy for me to take. So that's a very, very basic way of, describing the metagame and trying to play it that way, being unpredictable, reacting in an unpredictable way, and forcing them to react in a less than optimal and also predictable way. So this chart kind of makes it, a little bit more defined than that previous example, and hopefully this will define and put words and, bring the your thoughts about the metagame into a less intuitive and more literal way of thinking about the game. And hopefully this will help you to understand how pros are playing, or how you are playing in your teams and matchmaking or whatever. You know, I think that understanding how a meta game is played is going to help you understand how you're playing, understand the strategical and tactical components behind the game. Anyways, so let's say for this example, it's going to be on Inferno, and you are the terrorists, and we'll just keep it consistent for this, um, analysis, this game. So, your setup A, you're the terrorists, and their setup is B, the counter terrorists. So, let's say that their setup more specifically is, this is on Inferno, let's say, and we'll keep that consistent through this game as well. Their their setup is 2 people on B, 3 people on A. It's a pretty typical setup. And what you're going to do this round is have 4 people go B, and, 4 people go B, one person watch mid. And then where you meet up, let's call that the clash or the encounter. Let's say it. what you may kill someone, you may injure someone, whatever. It's just they know that you are in the vicinity. They don't even have to see you or shoot at you or whatever. You could just throw a smoke and be sitting in the smoke, watch them through a crack in the smoke or whatever. That is enough for a clash or encounter. Also important to note in this model that I have here is that there are many clashes and encounters. There are many reactions, and um, just to make it simple, let's say that there's one encounter and there is two reactions to each encounter. So, going back to the example, you four people on banana. You shoot some. Hold on a second here. Just turning something off. But let's say that the four people on banana, one person mid, and you react and shoot. Your team kills one person on banana, and they kill two people on your side on banana. So from there, they decide, okay, we're going to rotate through CT spawn to B site. We're going to commit there. And then you know that they are committing to B site. So what you're going to do is, let's say you are going to go rotate to A site. And because they have only one person at A site, you figure. So from that they've been sold on your fake, and your reaction D is to go to A. Their reaction E is to go to B site. So that is well, it doesn't really matter how, or in this example at least, who won the round or who didn't. You might think that it obviously you winning the round would be a successful result, and you might be more inclined to do that again, or perhaps taking into the account the victory, you might think that let's not do that again, because they're going to keep that in their minds, and they're going to think that we're going to be more inclined to do that because it is a successful strategy. We're going to stick with what works, they think. So either way you react, you are going to scratch that. So let's call this first bottom initial setup, let's call that metagame 0 or meta 0, and this one in the top left is meta 1. So in this one you change up your setup, and that's called X. Still T side Inferno, their CT side Inferno. So what you're going to do is let's say they figure that you're going to go B, and that they think that there's going to be that they have two people on B, they have three people on A site. They think that's going to be enough to hold you, as you had to rotate off the site in order to win the round last time. So what you are going to do is actually go three people apartments and two people mid and take A site. So they weren't expecting that. And you have a clash that is hopefully more favorable than the last one. It doesn't necessarily have to be, say the last clash was very favorable, like you won the round in the meta 0, that clash. Let's say that was favorable, and you're just doing this to switch things up. That is perfectly acceptable to do. You don't have to. It's just doing something different other than your initial setup. You could also run meta 0 again, because they don't figure that you're going to do that setup again. As I was saying earlier, it's all about being unpredictable and not just random and doing something different. So with this new clash, it's going to be different. So you're going to react to this clash, this meetup, differently than you did before, because it's in a different place with different players, etc., etc., and they're going to react differently. And hopefully, because you have determined the clash. Like you've set up the I guess the characteristics for this clash differently than it was initially in Meta Zero. They're going to react differently, and since their reaction is going to be, oh wow, we didn't know that they were going to go here, we either weren't thinking about it or we didn't expect it, and you're going to be able to capitalize off of them being confused and not expecting what you were going to do. So that's one way of playing the metagame. And obviously, this could be this diagram here. I just kept it really simple. There's, your initial one, the one possibility, and then another possibility. If this were a real game, you could go off. It could be a massive, massive tree, but that would fill up more screen space than I have. So for here, we'll just keep it simple and keep it to three of these boxes. So from the other possibility that you have to do, just keeping it simple here, you are going to do the same setup that you did in Meta Zero. A, and they're going to have the same setup. B, that's what you figure. Why do they have any reason to change it? That's you're just predicting ahead and thinking based on how they've played games in the past, how they've been playing in this game. You think that they are going to still go with 2 people B, 3 people A. So you're going to have the same clash and encounter. There, you're going to exchange fire with some people on B. Let's say that you kill 2 of them or one of them. It doesn't, and maybe they kill 3 of you or whatever. The point of this is that just on a macro scale that you're doing the same thing. So from there from there you are going to react differently than to counter what you think they're going to do. You think that they are going to rotate some people over to through CT, but then knowing that they are going to rotate some people through CT as they did in Meta Zero, what you're going to do is instead of just shooting some people and falling back a little bit and waiting to rotate off to A, what you're going to do is shoot some people and then commit fully to B site, plant the bomb, and wait for them to rotate. Obviously, there are more ways to make this complex, more ways to the metagame can of course go deeper than this, and obviously there's that common thing in pop culture, I guess, and like let's say you are faced with a decision and you're basically he knows that I know that he knows that I know. It goes on forever and forever. And obviously, that's not, you don't want to be stuck making decisions forever, trying to think, oh, does he know that I know this? Or, you get the idea. But with metagames and with trying to put this into words, trying to make it more literal, hopefully you'll be able to understand what the pros are doing so that you can learn from them how they play the metagame, instead of just saying, oh, that's what they just do, that's what they feel. Because I'm pretty sure that people who have gotten to such a high level have thought about this to a fairly high degree, and instead of just playing based off of feel, they are playing with a mind or consciousness to it. So hopefully this will help you in your understanding of pro level Counter-Strike, or maybe it can even help you in your teams or matchmaking games.